Good morning. Happy Thursday. I am really excited. I really like today's lesson. I think it's a lot of fun and I think it's like a puzzle. So we are on Module 5, Lesson 12. Make sure you watch this video. It gives great notes. Have your paper out, have everything ready to go. When you come into office hours, I want you to tell me if you could be any animal, what animal would it be and why? I would be a bird, and if you want to know why, you need to come into office hours and see. Good luck. See you soon. Hi, happy Thursday. You should be looking at Module 5, Lesson 12, Fractional Sides. We are starting with our fluency. So you are multiplying as you go through. So 4 times 2 is 8. Then when you see number 2, you see 4 times 2 tenths. And we know that that is 8 tenths. And then you see 4 times 2 hundredths. And that tells us that it is 8 hundredths. Keep going with this same pattern as you work through. Pause the video now. Finish this page. You are now looking at the Thrive Point Challenge. We are looking at our 4s. See if you can beat my time. I did it with 17 seconds left. I want you to put 2 minutes on a timer near you. See how many you get done. When that timer goes off, if you have not finished them, go ahead and finish the rest. Pause the video now. All right, and we are now looking at the application problem. Margot is designing a label. The dimensions of the label are 3.5 inches by 1 1/4 inch. What is the area of the label? I wonder what she's making a label for. I wonder what clothing Margot is making it for. Ooh, what I want you to do is when you come into office hours, tell me if you were to design any piece of clothing or article for fashion, what would you design? So it doesn't have to just be clothing. Think jewelry, think accessories. What would you design? What would I design? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll come back to you. Check in at office hours. Maybe I'll know. Okay, so she's designing a label. Hopefully it is a not itchy label. She says that the dimensions are 3.5 by 1 1/2. Sorry, that's not. It's 3.5 by 1 1/4. So it's split just like this. Now, the way that we were originally doing it is we were saying, okay, well, if it's 3, this part is 3, and that would be 1/2. This is 1 1/4. So then I know from looking at this that this would be 1, 1, and 1, or 3, right? So when I look at that, look at what I can do. That's the same 1, 1, 1, because there were 3 units there, as saying 3 times 1, which gives me 3. Then I can look at that second section, and I see that here it's telling me that it's 1, and that the other side it's telling me 1/2, and so I have 1 times 1/2, which is going to give me 1/2. Here, in that last section, I have the 3, which is up top, and the 1/4, which is right here. This is just like how we did our area models at the beginning. So we can say 3 times 1/4, which is going to give us 3/4. And then this last section is 1/4 times 1/2, which is 1/8. So now I have these 3 pieces, right? I have 3, 1/2, 1/8, and 3/4. These 4 pieces. And I'm going to add them all together. So 3 plus 1/2 plus 3/4 plus 1/8. Now, when I go to add these, I realize that they're not all like denominators. So I need to say, you know what? I have 2, 4, and 8. I can make a common denominator of 8 for all of them. And if I do that, I'm going to multiply here by 4/4. So now I have 3 plus 4/8. And now here I have 3/4. If I multiply it by 2/2, that will give me 6/8, and here's 1/8. Now all of my denominators are the same. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So I have 3 plus 11/8. Well, 11/8 is the same is saying 1 3/8 plus my 3. So I have 4 3/8 inches squared. It is squared because it's the area. If you did it a different way but came up with the same answer, that is okay. There are multiple ways to do this, but make sure that you have all of your work shown and that you have the unit with your answer. So let's move into concept development. I kind of showed you what we were going to be talking about in our concept development in that application problem. We're going to keep using these models, but for our tile models, we're going to get rid of doing all of those tiles. We don't need every single piece. So when I see this top piece, I have 2 inches, and then I have 2.5 inches here. I'm only going to break it apart where I have a whole number and a fraction. So I'm going to leave that 2 inches as 2 inches. Now, this first box is saying 2 inches times 2 inches. 2 times 2. And I know that that's going to give me 4 inches. This second box is telling me 2 inches by 1/2 inch. 2 times 1/2. And I know that that is going to give me 2/2, which is the same as 1. So now, when you go to complete this, you add those 2 answers that you got. So we have 4 inches here and 1 inch there. 4 plus 1 equals 5 inches squared. Make sure that you get those notes written onto your paper right now and have all of that work shown. Pause the video now if you need more time to write those notes. Okay, so let's look at B together. B says 1 3/4 inches times 1 3/4 inches. I am actually going to erase the rest of this page, otherwise it's kind of looking busy and messy and it's going to get complicated in our brains. Again, pause it earlier, scroll back in the video if you need to so that you can see those notes. You all can paste this however you need to. Okay, now it says 1 3/4, so I'm going to have 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. And again, you just use those dimensions as you're working through it. So this is going to be 1 times 1. This is going to be 1 times 3/4. Here's again 1 times 3/4 and 3/4 times 3/4. What we're doing is you are multiplying every whole number or fraction by every other whole number or fraction. You want to multiply both of your numbers, both of your factors, by every piece. 1 times 1 gives me 1. 1 times 3/4 is 3/4. Again, 1 times 3/4 is 3/4. 3/4 times 3/4 is 9/16. That is easy. We've been doing those in Fluencies for a while. Now we take our 4 pieces that we have and we add them all together. So 1 plus 3/4. Do not do this part in your head. Some of them are going to be easier for you, but we do not want to make a silly mistake. And when the numbers get more complicated, we want to make sure that we know these steps and that we're able to go back and check our work. So now that I'm looking at this, okay, I can say 1, let's see, 3 plus 3. I can add these together because they're like denominators. And I'm going to say 6/4. Ooh, but you know what? 6/4 is actually the same as saying 1 2/4. So I'm going to write it just like that. 1 2/4. Now, we know 1 2/4 is the same as 1/2, but I'm not going to make it 1/2 because I see that I need to get to a common denominator of 16. And I know that if I keep it at 4, I can just say times 4/4. So now I have my 1 plus 1 8/16 plus 9/16. Okay, well, 1 plus 1 is 2. And then 8 plus 9 is going to give me 17/16, which is the same as saying 1 1/16. But I have that too. So my answer is 3 1/16. I'm going to rewrite it up here so that you can see it with my unit. 3 1/16 inches squared. And again, it's inches squared because it's area, length, and width. Make sure you get all of these notes down. You are then going to move and complete the problem set. All 4 of these examples are just like the 2 that we just did. So you're going to pause the video now and work through these using your notes as an example. Pause now. Once you finish those, move into problem set number 2. You are still doing the same thing we just did. It says explain your thinking using, oops, I just crossed it out, not underlined it, using the area model. That's exactly what we did. So you're still going to do the same thing. 1 foot would be there, 1.5 would be here. Split it up and show your work just like that. Now you are moving to number 3. Do not get frustrated when you move to number 3. You are doing the same thing you've been doing. It is just a word problem. Use your plan of attack. I know that most of you are doing this on your paper without having it printed. So if you can't annotate it, that's okay. But everybody should have a plan of attack. If you did print it, annotating it is going to be really helpful. Once you complete that one, moving to number 4. Number 4, A and B, you are using this picture to help you with. Read really carefully. For A, it says, what is the area of the smaller square that Fred cut out? Read the question that it gives you at the beginning. It tells you the dimensions that you need. You do not need to solve those on your own. It gives it to you if you read the question carefully. Make sure you keep your work really neat here so that we can go back and check our work. And if we made a mistake, it's going to be way easier than having to start the whole problem over. When you get to your exit ticket, it says measure the rectangle. You might not have a ruler yet, so I'm going to tell you what these dimensions are going to be. So for your exit ticket, it is going to be a length of 1 1/4 and a width of 1 1/4. That is how you should split up your area model. Make sure you keep all of your work neat, show all of your steps. I look forward to seeing you in office hours when you come. Again, you are going to tell me about what type of fashion accessory or design wear that you would make if you were making one. Make sure you have all of this work done and come with questions. Good job, guys.